on this nice chilly day. Thank you all for joining me here. Let's go ahead and actually, before we do roll call, I'll pass it to Claudia to do the Dakota Land, Water, and People Acknowledgement.
Okay.
The Metropolitan Council acknowledges that the land we currently call Minnesota, and specifically the 7-county region, is the ancestral homeland of the Dakota Oyata, who are present and active contributors to our living region. As part of the Metropolitan Council's commitment to address the resolved legacy of genocide, dispossession, and settler colonialism, and the fact that government institutions, including the Metropolitan Council, benefited economically, politically, and institutionally after the forcible removal of the Dakota Oyata, and Metropolitan Council is dedicated to instilling land, water, and people commitments in regional policy. These commitments support the Dakota Oyata, the 11 federally recognized tribes in Minnesota, Ho-Hunk Nation, and the American Indian communities, representing over 150 diverse tribal nations that call the 7-county region home.
Thank you very much, Claudia. I appreciate that. Let's dive right into roll call. You want to start us off?
Sure.
Thank you.
Carrie Sheldon, Precinct G.
Patty Thorson Trellis.
Kevin Petrie, Recording Secretary.
Darrell Paulsen, Vice Chair, and representing Region F, I believe, right?
David Fenley, Chair.
Julie Sellner, Metromobility.
Patsy Murphy, Precinct C.
Scotty Carter, OEEO.
Heidi Meyer, Minnesota CCD.
Claudia Fugli, MNCCD.
Doug Cook, Metro Transit.
Thank you. And online, I see at least 2 folks. Ken, you want to go first?
We're Ken Rodgers, District D.
Sam Jasmine, Precinct A.
Michelle Severson, Minnesota Council on Disability.
Awesome. We do have a quorum. Let's dive right into business. I would take a motion to approve this month's agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Darrell.
Second.
All right, we have a second from Patty and or Darrell. Thank you both very much. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Awesome. We have 2, looks like months of minutes to approve. I would take a motion to approve the October minutes from this year. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, one of you 3 seconded it. Is there any discussion on the October minutes? All right, I will take a vote now. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Abstention? Oh, sorry. Did someone online have? Probably just a late aye. All right, thank you very much. Those are approved. I would also take a motion to approve the November minutes.
I will make you approve.
Thank you, Claudia, for the motion. Is there a second?
Patsy will second it.
Fantastic. Is there any discussion on the November minutes? Changes? None? All right. All in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Oh, yeah.
Abstentions? Awesome. Okay, cool. We can, before we go into business information items, I have a quick announcement regarding TAC leadership. Next year, we will be appointing a new vice chair. Going into the new year with fresh blood. TAC members, if you would like to be considered for that, or if you think that one of your colleagues should be vice chair, please send me their name. According to our bylaws, the vice chair serves at my leisure, but new incoming vice chairs have to be approved by the body. So we will do that in probably January or February. Just wanted to let y'all know that. Thank you, Darrell, very much for your service as vice chair. We appreciate it over these last few years. But I think it's time that we get some fresh blood in here for vice chair. With that being said, we can just dive right into the business and information items. We have a Metro microservice update from Ben and somebody else. Fantastic. Very excited of these programs and to hear about them. Please feel free to introduce yourselves and dive right in.
Chair, members of the committee, thank you very much for having us today. My name is Ben Picone. I'm a transit planner for Metro Transit.
And I'm Christina Pfluger. I'm the project administrator for Metro Micro. So thanks for having us.
And today we're going to talk to you, give you an overview of the general public on-demand service Metro Micro. So an overview of what the service is, how it operates, the parameters behind it, and then at the end we have time for questions or discussion at the end to talk, to hear from you all. So next slide, please. So this slide shows a photo of a Metro Micro cutaway bus parked in front of, near the Rosedale Transit Center. And we wanted to start by talking about what Metro Micro is. So like I said earlier, it's a general public service, so there's no eligibility requirements for this service, but it is an on-demand transit service. So it's similar to Uber or Lyft rideshare, so a similar type of service to that, but it is very much public transit still. So it's a shared ride service where vehicles can pick up or drop off other passengers along the way. So it's not a personal kind of limousine. It's more of a closer to in between a fixed route bus and kind of a private ride. It's a service that operates within a set zone. So instead of a region-wide service or a kind of county-wide service, it's a smaller, more compact zone, but then pickups and drop-offs can happen anywhere within that set boundary. It's a real-time transit service, so it happens, you call a ride when you're ready to ride. It's not a kind of a schedule ahead service that we're used to in other services. It's when you're ready to go anytime within the zone or within the parameters of the time parameters of the zone, you summon a ride. And then again, yeah, it's a shared ride transit service. So there may be other passengers that are riding when you board the bus, or they may drop someone off before you get taken to your final destination. Next slide, please. So to dive into some more details about the Metro Micro service, the photo on the right shows an image of the Metro Micro bus. It's a smaller bus similar to the Metro Mobility buses that we call cutaway buses. They have 8 standard seats and then space for up to 2 mobility devices in each vehicle. All buses are also equipped with bike racks on the front of them, so standard fare for all of our buses. In terms of fare, the fare matches the Metro Transit Express fare set. So currently that's $2.50 outside of the rush hour period, $3 during rush hour, and then all of the rules that apply to express fares also apply to these. So the transfer policy, 2.5-hour transfer window applies to Metro Micro as well as reduced fares. The service operates on weekdays, so Monday and Friday from 5:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. And then on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, service begins at 7 a.m. and then runs at 10:30 p.m. And that span of service, those hours were intentionally picked to be kind of a broader time because a lot of people who ride Metro Micro don't follow the traditional 9 to 5 shift times. So it's to try to help connect people to jobs that maybe aren't traditional during our rush hour service. Next slide, please. So Metro Micro, we talked earlier about how they are these smaller, more compact defined zones. Currently, we have 5 zones in operation as of September of this year. So the first zone that launched in 2022 was the North Minneapolis zone. That opened as a pilot in North Minneapolis to kind of test the waters for microtransit, to see, what would microtransit look like under operation with Metro Transit and MMTS. And after 2 years, that graduated into a full service. And then this year, we've opened 4 zones throughout the rest of the year. So In January of this year, we opened the Roseville area zone and the Woodbury area zone, connecting to the end of the A line at Rosedale Transit Center and connecting to the newly opened Gold Line in the Woodbury area. And then this fall, we launched 2 more zones. So the Bloomington area zone connecting to the Orange Line at 98th Street Station, and the Blaine area zone connecting to Northtown Transit Center in near Northtown Mall. So the zones are more compact. They're sized based on expected demand. So there's no standard size that we must reach with each zone. We look at each area individually and try to size the zone to meet the demand in these areas. So North Minneapolis, which has a lot of needs and is a lot denser than some of the other areas, is a little bit smaller than some of our other zones that are more out in the suburbs and can cover a wider area with the same number of resources. But in general, these zones that are opening, they're around 12 to 15 square miles in area. And like I said, walking through them, they're all focused around major transit centers. So, rather than an isolated island that provides service there, but is somewhat isolated, these zones are intentionally placed to kind of connect in and out of the Metro Transit fixed route system. Next slide, please. So after our North Minneapolis area pilot, we kind of looked internally and said, microtransit is a very powerful tool, but it can be used in a lot of different ways. So how did we at Metro Transit and MTS want to use this service to be the most effective? So, we quickly decided that, it's a great tool for serving areas that we know have transit needs. We know either people in those areas are trying to access transit, or people in the transit service area today are trying to get to jobs or retail destinations in these areas. But whether land use or density or for a number of reasons, these areas have been traditionally difficult to serve with fixed route. Either there's not a lot of productivity or the roads are difficult to navigate with a fixed route bus. We decided that those are the areas we wanted to focus on for our first round of microtransit. So we decided to base the microtransit through our Network Now process, which was a multi-year process where we re-examined our transit network and put together a plan for the next few years. We decided to base the next 8 metro micro zones around transit centers and kind of serve as an extension of either current or future transit ways. So you'll notice with the A line and the Gold Line, right at the end of those transit ways, that's where we placed the metro micro zone to kind of extend the reach of those investments that we've made in the region. Next slide, please. So this slide shows a comparison between the Metro Micro service and Metro Mobility service. We see a lot of Metro Mobility customers that either live or are traveling to the Metro Micro area zones, and riders that have both options really enjoy having that flexibility between the two systems. So there's a lot of similarities between the two of them. They are all equipped with ADA accessibility ramps and things like that, but there are some differences here. So while Metro Micro has a constrained service area where it's 10 to 15 square miles where you can travel within those, Metro Mobility is more of a region-wide service. So there's more flexibility in places you can go. Metro Micro is a curb-to-curb service, and so we say that because our drivers on Metro Micro aren't trained to physically assist customers. They can get as close to, they're trained to get out or only to operate the lift or only to assist in that way, but they can't physically help a customer in and out of their home, for example. Whereas Metro Mobility is more of a door-to-door service. They have that special training that our Metro Micro drivers do not. Metro Micro is an on-demand service, so it's only something that you summon when you're ready to use it immediately. So there's no schedule ahead allowed. It's not something you can plan reoccurring trips with. You say, I'm ready to go and I'm in the zone now. You'll call a trip. Whereas Metro Mobility has that ability to schedule ahead service. Then finally, kind of some logistics about how the service operates. Metro Micro once a ride is summoned, whether it's on the app or whether you're calling in, it has a smaller estimate window. It'll say your ride will be here in 8 to 12 minutes, whereas Metro Mobility has, scheduling ahead opportunities, but also gives you a different pickup window. Next slide, please. So like I said, the Metro Micro trips, there's 2 different ways to summon a ride. So the majority of riders use our Metro Micro app. So that's a smart device app available on Apple devices or on the Google Play Store, where you can use a smartphone to enter in an address, a name of a business, or different saved locations you can have tied to your account. And through the app, similar to Uber and Lyft, you can summon a ride. You can view the ride coming to your location in real time, and you can kind of get alerts through the app in that way to see how when the ride is arriving. A lot of riders prefer this because they have, a little more information at their fingertips when they need about how close their ride is. It's updated in real time. They can physically see on the map, or they can look on the map to see where the vehicle is coming from. But we know that that's not an option for everyone. And so we also have the ability for riders to call in. So we have a number that riders who want to book with a representative can call in and talk with someone verbally. They can help plan the trip, whether it's a Metro Micro trip or a combination of Metro Micro and fixed route. And we see about 10% of trips are booked via the call-in. It fluctuates by zone and by time of day and things, but it hovers around 10% there. Next slide, please. And so, when we work with the cities and counties to plan the zones and to update them on how the zones are operating, we often get questions about where people are traveling to and from. So what are kind of common or popular destinations within zones? And each zone has specific areas that are more higher ridership than others, but some common destinations we see across all the zones are certainly grocery stores and kind of major retail destinations. So Cub Foods, Walmarts, Targets, places where either people are going to grocery shop or to buy things, otherwise to work there as well. We see those are always kind of the hot spots in new zones and current zones that we have. We see riders traveling to pharmacies or medical appointments, so that's certainly an option that's unlocked with Metro Micro. Municipal facilities are always very popular, city halls, YMCAs, libraries. We see a wide range of age of riders using this service. We see high schoolers using it after school to get to places, to sports or to jobs. We see seniors using it to get from where they live to facilities. Work and school is always popular, so school certainly for high schoolers. They're often quick to pick up on new services, new technology, so they are kind of our early adopters, so we see that as a hot spot. And then we see quite a bit of people connecting at the transit centers. So they're either, we surmise that they're either riding into the service center, into the zone via transit and then connecting with Metro Micro, or connecting from their home to the transit center to travel further on fixed route. Next slide, please. So on the map, on the slide to the right-hand side is a map that is just for illustrative purposes, but what it shows is a trip that a rider theoretically has planned from an origin in downtown St. Paul to a destination in the Metro Micro Woodbury area zone. So the map shows a pin in downtown St. Paul as an origin. It shows the Metro Gold Line, an outline of the Metro Gold Line traveling east towards the Woodbury area zone. And then it shows a kind of curved line traveling from the gold line to the final destination inside that zone. And so this is to illustrate that the Metro Micro app, we work with a provider to provide the app, and it's constantly becoming more sophisticated in terms of trip planning. So since we've launched the service, it now has the ability to plan a trip from end to end, even if that trip begins or ends outside of the zone. So it'll use a combination of our fixed route service, the Gold Line or a regular fixed route bus, and the Metro microservice to say, well, you're not in the zone now, but if you use this transit service to get there, we will connect with you at that station and finish the end of your trip with a Metro Micro trip. So, you know, we launched that in the spring, and we've seen people kind of pick that up pretty organically, even before we started kind of advertising that as an option for people. So we're excited to see that because it really leverages these, you know, investments we've made in the region of these high frequency, high quality transit services, and then also uses Metro Micro to overcome that last mile problem that is really difficult to overcome in some of these areas. Excuse me. Next slide, please. So this last slide I wanted to show just kind of an example of a trip that that someone could take in theory. So the map on the bottom of this slide shows a sample trip in the Bloomington area zone this time. So there's a darker shaded area that shows where the Bloomington area zone is, and then it shows a pickup in the 98th Street station and a drop off at Highland Lake Park Visitor Center, and a line connecting the two, but the line intentionally does not follow the roadways. The app does this on purpose because it doesn't want to show a rider a route that they will take, because as the route is happening, someone might summon a ride in real time and join your trip. So the bus may detour a little bit and go out of its way to pick up someone else who's going on to a similar destination that you are. So in this trip, I arrive at 98th Street Station via the Metro Orange line. And then immediately after arriving, I book a trip via Metro Micro via the app to the Highland Lake Park. You know, a vehicle comes to the station within a few minutes and picks me up. Initially, I'm the only one on the bus, but along the way, it picks up someone else nearby that's heading in the same direction, but to Normandale College. So it picks them up and then drops them off at Normandale College, and then continues on its way, and then I arrive at Highland Lake Park Visitor Center. So it's just an example of how someone could use fixed route and in combination with Metro Micro, and then also experience kind of that shared ride that we talked about earlier. Next slide, please. So that's an overview of what Metro Micro is and how it's working in our region. We wanted to take a few minutes at the end to kind of hear from you all, to hear if you've heard of Metro Micro before, if you've experienced it yourself, or if you know anyone who has ridden it before, and what have you heard from others? And also, you know, as we're planning zones, current zones and future zones, you know, we told you what kind of common destinations we look for in the zones, but if there's anything else that you all think we should be focusing on when we're shaping those zones and working with the cities and counties. So either one of those questions, we'd love to hear from anyone.
Are those the only questions that you want to hear from us?
No.
Okay, good. Yeah, Heidi, take it away.
My question is, do you have people, because I know when Metro Mobility does their taxi service, you know, they contract with, the one I use, T Plus, they, you can call in, but we still use the app, you know, because it gives us, you know, alerts saying your ride's coming and stuff. Do you have that ability where you can use both the phone? Because some people really need to like explain it to them, or they spell it out, or, you know, because there's many different ways where their disability needs a live person. And then they can follow it on the app to know when they're coming, so they're there at the right time, right place.
Yep, and our dispatch is wonderful. They will tell you, your bus will arrive in 14 minutes, but you can also then follow it as well.
So so they kind of know my phone number, or
So
they
you
know?
call in, you give them your information. Yep.
Okay.
And then typically it's really nice because if you're a frequent rider of Micro, your well-traveled locations may pop up, but they'll just ask you what's your destination, and then they can tell you, yep, there's a trip coming, a bus will be at your curb, not door, but at your curb within, 7, 10, 14 minutes.
Okay,
So
and the
watch
app
for it.
is pretty accurate, or is it?
The app is, yes. Yep, that's real time.
Okay, cool. Because the reason I asked, because if there's the combination, then you got people really liking it, and they got options in how this works. Thank you.
Gary, take it away.
So if Metro Transit Dispatcher directs me, tells me to take a bus, but it's the wrong direction. I can get off and then call them and say, can you pick me up here at the last minute?
If it was within the zone, yes.
Okay, okay,
Yep, if it was within the zone, then you could call in to dispatch, or you could request it on the app.
Okay.
Yep.
So you would get the app when you give them the information?
Yep, otherwise you can, we both have the app on our phones.
Okay.
So typically with the app, just requesting the ride is it's very easy. It pops up what address that you're hoping for, and then tells you when your bus will arrive.
Okay.
Yeah. And we ask that people book when they're ready. The bus can only wait 2 minutes when they arrive at your door or at your curb. So not booking, say Ben and I are gonna go get coffee after this, we wouldn't book right now because we don't know when we're gonna leave. But when we're ready at the door, then we wanna book. And so you may wait a little bit for your trip.
Okay.
But we ask that stay on time, that we're ready.
Okay.
Yep.
Ken online and then Doug.
Yeah. So could you review the cost if somebody that was Metro Mobility certified started on fixed route and then transferred to Metro Micro? I'm assuming fixed route is a free ride for Metro Mobility certified, but it would still be a $2.50 charge if it's not during prime time on Metro. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, committee member, so the fare set follows fixed route. So if a Metro Mobility rider transfers, wants to ride Metro Micro, it's also a free ride.
Okay, thank you.
That was a great question, Ken. Thank you. Doug, and then Claudia.
Yeah, I got two things.
Yeah, sorry, Doug, then Claudia.
Good point that Ken made, and also the same with seniors, correct? If they're $1 during the fare, they're going to transfer off into the dollar. So the second thing, I've been working with a lot of groups in various areas in the zones around the cities, and a question that always pops up is, I live just outside of that zone in a senior complex. It has quite a few people there that could use it. Are you going to expand that?
Mr. Chair, committee member, it won't surprise you to hear that we hear this comment a lot as well from riders, because no matter where we draw the line of the zone, there's always going to be someone just across the street or just outside the zone that is not captured within the zone. In some cases, if they're able to, we ask them to walk into the zone and then someone to ride there, but we know that that's not always the case, especially in areas with no sidewalk or in areas when it's cold outside. We always are gathering feedback, so we do encourage those people to contact us, either via the website or through our customer relations channel, and we document every piece of feedback for zone expansion that we get. And we take that and work with the cities with a combination of feedback that they're hearing in order to shape the zones in the future. So just like our fixed route, where we kind of tweak the fixed route based on demand and based on ridership and things that we see, we're also expecting that to happen with Metro Micro. So the boundaries may shift over time based on trends we're seeing, based on data that we're seeing for ridership. So I encourage those people to write in or call in.
Go ahead, Claudia.
As a passenger there, would they need to apply for this program or have a code number in order to have the ride?
Mr. Chair, no, it's a general public service. So just like any person can ride a fixed route service, this is open to the general public. So there's no eligibility for Metro Micro.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Patsy.
Going off of what Doug was saying, when you say the zone, let's say Woodbury, are we saying that zone is Woodbury City edging? So if the edge is there, you're out of luck, okay.
Mr. Chair, no. So the zones are not shaped around any municipal boundaries. So we intentionally call the zones the Roseville area zone or the Woodbury area zone, because when we design the zones, we work with the cities in the area and the counties. So the Roseville area zone, for example, includes portions of, but not all of, Roseville, Shoreview, and Arden Hills. The Woodbury area zone includes portions of Woodbury, Oakdale, and Lake Elmo. So we base it less on the actual municipal boundaries of these areas and more about where we know there is a transit need and where we know that there's gaps in the fixed route network.
So how would somebody know then what is, like I live in Bloomington, let's say, and I know that I am outside of the federal mandated zone area, right? How would somebody know? Like, how would I know if I'm in, just because I live in Bloomington, obviously doesn't mean I'm part of it.
Right, yeah. And, getting the word out about the service is one of the hardest challenges that we've seen so far. When it's a fixed route bus, there's a pole in the ground and a physical thing that says a bus will go here back and forth all day, or at some point during the day. Whereas Metro Micro is this zone that if you don't know it's there, unless the buses are going by, you don't necessarily know that you're in the zone. The way that we have been trying to get the message across is through our social media channels, through our website, through kind of our outreach efforts to specific multifamily housing, but also if you download the app, that can tell you whether or not you're currently in the zone. So that's one way in order to look at it, but it is a challenge that we have to communicate.
Heidi.
Does the website or the app, because they kind of work together, have really good maps? Like Metro Mobility has a section where you can go in and you can kind of see certain things and understand the layout. So if I wanted to go here to here, I know I can call Metro and make that right. Does your app have something like that so it can answer some of our questions that we're asking you? Where if I'm outside the zone or in the zone, or maybe I'm going by bus and I'm in that zone, and then I can finish the trip by understanding the two maps?
Yeah, Chair, the two have slightly different resources. The website has a more static map, so just kind of a PDF or a photo of a map that with a description built in, but less interaction with it. Whereas the app kind of functions like Google Maps does, where you can search a specific address, or you can search, move around within the zone to kind of see or to figure out where the borders of that zone is. So I'd say the app on the smartphone is a little easier to navigate in terms of trying to understand what exactly is and is not.
Do you tell that on the website? Because I'm looking at something that's very two-dimensional, and then now I'm going to the app and it's like, oh my God, now I can really understand.
Yeah, right.
What's the reason that I went to the website? No one told me that,
Right, yeah. We generally try to encourage riders to go to the app for all that thing. When we do outreach and things like that, we can show them the app, we can kind of walk them through that, so. Yeah.
And one other question, is it easy for people who that they can't read really well or process, they can use like a reader, and it reads over it. It doesn't read like funky letters and numbers and, and then like a picture becomes like words and it's not really a picture telling me what it is.
I do believe that, so we contract with a third-party developer for the app, and they are kind of a nationally known developer that has created this app for us and runs services around the country. I believe that it's fully accessible and fully able to use screen readers and everything like that, yes.
You say you believe. Do you even know that's true or not true? I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm just trying to be like, wow, you kind of know, or do you know?
Yeah, that's something I definitely want to look at. I've never had to use a screen reader on the app, so that's a good
or any kind
spare.
of thing that helps me read it, because I don't know how you have it laid out, and I don't know if it's going to be like big fancy words I don't know, or if it's going to be really easy and I can just go here, and there, and book a ride, and I'm off and running.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can definitely follow up on that.
Yeah, that would be lovely. We would love to help you do that.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great comment, because that's awesome.
This is, go ahead.
First off, this is great. I had never heard of this before. And so I have two questions. One, to piggyback off what we're just discussing, for the accessibility standpoint, is there an auditory function to the app as well, so they can read exactly what the route is and what it goes, and it's auditory. And then the second question is, since we're talking about the app as like a Uber or Lyft version, right? And so in an Uber or Lyft version, you could decide, hey, actually, I don't want to go to Target and Walmart. I want to go to Walmart. So is it only strictly point A, point B, no adjusting of the route? Okay.
Yes, yep, once your pickup point is set and your destination is set, you're not able to change. You can cancel your ride, however, but you're not able to change it once it's scheduled, once they're coming to you and you're on board.
Would it be accurate to say that this is most like a taxi service, but publicly supported?
Sherry, I'd say it's kind of falls in between fixed route and transit and taxi service because it is, very much a shared ride. So in the beginning stages when demand was lower, we did have some trouble communicating that to people. They got used to having a personal ride. It took them point to point. Yeah. Now that the service is becoming more popular and ridership is picking up, there's often deviations, and riders who previously had a one-seat ride to their destination are now trying to navigate, well, why is the bus going the wrong way? Or why are you picking up someone else? So it's a little bit of an in-between, but you're not inaccurate with that statement, yeah.
Do you, and I have a couple questions, so if any other members or anybody else want to ask, just shoot your hand up or make eye contact. Do you keep track of wheelchair rides or Lyft deployment?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so this year, so since January 1, we've had around 4,400 where the ride has been requested and they've had that accessibility request. We've had 166,000 rides total, so it's definitely continuing to grow. But yes, so when you create your request, either if dispatch, if you call, they will ask you, do you need a mobility assistance? Or in your app, you put that in your settings for both actually a bike rack or a wheelchair. So wheelchair, scooter, if you need the lift deployed. So we've had, 4,410 as of this morning.
And we do ask that ahead of time because we don't want a situation where a bus arrives and both spots for mobility devices are occupied. And then the rider has no way to board the bus or no way to ride the bus. By asking for that information before the bus is assigned, it guarantees that the bus that arrives will have space for a mobility device.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And you answered my question about shared rides, but maybe I'll dig a little bit deeper. Since you actually had statistics, I didn't expect you to have statistics. So I was asking a yes or no question.
Don't quiz us.
So blame you for bringing statistics. I won't go deep down into the weeds on statistics, but I am curious about shared rides because I think that is a way to increase efficiency in a system like this. Is that something you see more often than not? Like there's usually 2, 3, 4 people on this bus, or is it more often that there's one person?
I would say definitely in Roseville, in our more established zones. So North Minneapolis, of course, Roseville and Woodbury, you're more often going to see others sharing your ride with you. In our newer zones, Bloomington and Blaine, it's still growing, so you can see that you may be the only person on your ride. So it really varies by zone as well as time of day. We deploy 5 buses max in each zone, and the deployment ramps up through the day. So at 6 when we launch at 5:30 in the morning on weekdays, we only have 1 bus per zone. So that rush hour, you may see other people riding with you. But then at 7 a.m., we add that second bus. And then typically between 2 and 6 p.m. is when we have all 5 buses per zone active. So it really depends what zone we're in. North Minneapolis, yes, they're very busy. You're usually on the bus with others.
Okay, good. I don't see any other questions. I'll ask one more, and then we can go on. What, and I understand you don't have these numbers in front of you, you can just guesstimate as well, average wait time and then maximum wait time. Like has someone, since submitting the request, has someone sat around for an hour, or is it just 14 minutes is the most that you'll wait?
So since January, average wait time is around 15 minutes.
Around what, sorry?
15.
15?
Yep, 15 minutes. I know in North Minneapolis right now, especially when school is getting out, between 3 and 4 p.m. when students are trying to get to their activities, it can be a longer wait. But But again, the average right now is roughly 15 minutes, so.
And the maximum wait time we allow is 30 minutes. So after wait times hit 30 minutes, we stop new requests from coming in until the system can catch up for those two things. So that's why we're so intentional when we size the zone, that we don't want to size it too large too quickly, because we know that we want to keep those wait times. We're aiming for around 12 to 15 minutes total. So that's why we're cautious when sizing the zone initially, and then also always monitoring those wait times to make sure they don't creep up too high.
And I'll go to Heidi in just one second. I'd love to see a map. I'm sure all of us would too. Maybe next time you come, we can also jump on our phones, but I try not to do that when I'm here. Again, guesstimate. So what percentage of the metro do you think is covered by this? Like 4%?
I can tell you that after the latest zone opened, we're about 60 square miles. So I don't know what percentage of the metro that is, but it is quite a lot of area that's gone. We've gone from 5.5 in the North Minneapolis area at this time last year to 60 square miles. So we've added over 50 square miles of coverage.
Heidi, go ahead. And then we get more
My
questions.
question is, okay, go what David was saying. Now, he talked about, when he's going to get picked up. But how long do I spend? Because on the city bus or metro, I can kind of get some idea, of how long it's going to take, But definitely with the city bus and the trains, I can figure that out, That's if I get there on time and everything works accordingly like it's supposed to. So how long, once I get picked up, with all the kids and all the different activities in the evening, how long do I spend on there just to get to the movie theater, which you had a picture of? Let's say I want to go to the movies in the evening.
So the average trip time right now is around like 11 minutes. So, but it does vary on time of day. But average throughout the system, it's roughly 11 minutes that you're on board. We like to keep it under 20 minutes. So how Ben mentioned that if your wait time is longer than 30 minutes, the algorithm is gonna try to find a different bus to come pick you up. But you may see, or the dispatcher may tell you, there is no bus available right now because we don't want you waiting beyond that 30 minutes to get picked up. But like your question, the average trip time is around 11 minutes right now that you're on the vehicle.
On the vehicle?
Yep.
And that are you including, like when he talked about data, because we're into data here.
Yeah, me too.
With data, does that include all of a sudden my ride became a 20-minute ride because we had to go pick up someone else and we picked up two other people. Because for some reason that night I decided, other people wanted to take a ride with me. So do you count that or take that into consideration?
In that average number, yes, that is included
So
in that.
is that like what you just said to us? Is that like a true data times,
So that's
if
the
I'm saying it right?
Yep, I understand. So that's the number. So Spare is the app, the technology we use to book and to deploy the service online. And that is the data that comes from that. So it's real-time data. So that's where I pulled that information this morning.
So what we're asking is it's correct, so it would only take 15 to 20 minutes or less or 10. So that's real, you've seen enough of that to know that that's average. I can just pick up the phone and I would say, yeah, that probably would be, just remember, there might be 2 or 3 people along the way I don't know, so that might change a little. Okay.
Yep, great question.
Thank you.
So my next question is about, is there an option for service animals on micro or on the service, or what does that process look like? Is it available, or what's the process in letting people know?
Yep, so we follow the fixed route rules as well with service animals. So yep, if you need a service animal, yep.
Cool. Good question.
That's a great question.
My question is let's say I forget to make a ride and I have a doctor's appointment that day, and I know exactly when I need to be there. Can I call them in the morning, or do I have to wait a little bit closer to the time? that I have the appointment.
Yeah, you can't schedule ahead, so you'd have to wait until closer to the time that you'd have your
Okay.
appointment. So for example, we encourage, say you have a 10:30 appointment, I would encourage you to call at 10 to get that appointment scheduled, or maybe a little bit before, but any longer than that, we don't book ahead.
Okay,
Great question.
thanks.
You just have to figure out how far back you need to go.
Any more questions online? I'm also curious, it doesn't sound like we have, and you don't have to chime in if you have, but I'm curious if any TAC members have used this service.
I do have an interesting question.
Go ahead.
Because he talked about service animals. Do you make room for the service animal? Because I don't know how big these vehicles are, and if I'm bringing my big dog, it's not like huge dog, but the right kind of dog for a person who's blind and it's appropriate for the situation. I don't have a service animal, but if I did, would my service animal have enough space to feel comfortable? Because we had talked about that with Metro Mobility. Sometimes we're cramming them in and sometimes we're not having enough space, The vehicle needs to accommodate certain things, like the same with wheelchairs, it's the same with the service dog. So how does your vehicles work with that? So everybody's comfortable and the dog's not happy.
That's a great question. Typically, yes, we have the service animal hopefully would sit in front of you. Like Ben mentioned, the vehicles are E350, E450 Fords, cutaway buses. So they have 8 seats with 2 spaces for mobility devices. So as of right now, we haven't had that issue where there hasn't been room on the vehicle for the service animal. But yeah, there's typically room on the vehicle for the service animal. And when you call in to dispatch, you can say that you have a service animal with you, just the same as the bike or the mobility device as well.
So every time you get a new vehicle, let's say, one breaks down and it's time to get a new one, just like Metro Mobility has to update. Do you think about those things every time, like wheelchairs?
Oh, yes.
Because things change in technology and how vehicles are made, and you think about service animals and walkers and carts and whatever.
Right, yep. So right now our fleet is currently, they're all E350 Fords, as well as E450s. So they look very similar to the Metro Mobility buses that are out on the street. We just have the big yellow swoop on the
That's
rear
good to
end.
know, thank you.
Yep.
That was my next question. Is there any difference besides paint than the Metro Mobility vehicles? And it sounds like no.
No.
Perfect. I do have one more question, and maybe this is one to, you have one more as well? Since you're a numbers person. I'd be curious, because I know we have presentations and discuss regular route wheelchair lift deployment as well, because I know that they could keep track of that. I'd be really curious to compare the two numbers, because my math is this is about 2.6% of the rides, which is a lot, I would say. But I'd be curious to compare that to regular route, which is not your part of the business. So I'm just putting that out there to the ether. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is actually for the TAC members. If any of you want to experience Metro Micro, I'm happy to come along with you and teach you how it works. Okay, just give me an email.
No more questions? Great questions, robust presentation. Thank you very much. This is exciting. The more on-demand wheelchair service we get in the Twin Cities, the better.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Julie, our resident Metmo professional.
Hey, everybody.
Hello, Julie.
So again, these are statistics through the end of November on our Metro Mobility performance. And if we go to the first slide. Next slide, please. There you go. I know many of you are very well aware of what our matrices are. There's a couple of new people, so I'm just going to run through them one more time, if that's okay. Our key service performance metrics include on-time performance, appointment time, which is the time that you're requesting to be there no later than, on-board time, and any capacity denials. Next slide, please. Our 2025 year-to-date KPI data on on-time performance. These numbers are going to be broken out from total numbers into ADA and non-ADA numbers. If it's okay with the chair and the other committee members, I'm just going to cover the total numbers, but if you have any questions concerning the ADA or non-ADA, please let me know. So our on-time performance through the end of November currently is at 93.5%. We've done a total of 1.618 million rides so far this year. We are projecting, or at least I'm projecting, approximately a 5.5% increase on demand and ridership over 2024. Of those 1.6 million, 1.5 million were on time. We did have 105,788 late trips year to date. Next slide, please. Our on-time performance late trip details. So what I'm doing is I'm taking those 105,788 trips that we were late and breaking them down into the categories. For the trips that were on time, 31% or 465,277 trips. We picked them up between their scheduled time and 5 minutes after their scheduled time. 320,873 rides were between 5 and 10 minutes from their scheduled time. 460,751 trips were between 10 and 20 minutes of their scheduled time. 265,831 trips were between the 20 and 30 minute or the end part of that pickup window. For our late trips, we had 39,538 that were 5 minutes outside the scheduled pickup window. We had 25,896 that were 5 to 10 minutes past their scheduled time. 24,579 trips that were 10 to 20 minutes past their pickup window. We had 8,875 trips that were 20 to 30 minutes outside their window. And we did have 6,900 trips that were more than an hour or more than at 30 minutes past their scheduled time. These percentages of late trips have a tendency to stay somewhat stagnant, meaning that in our 5 minutes past the pickup window, we actually decreased that from 37.2% to 37.1%. I'm keeping them in whole percentage numbers. The goal is to watch that and to eliminate those as much as possible. I know our providers put a lot of effort into achieving that on a daily basis as well. Any questions on that at all?
Heidi.
Yeah, this recently happened, and we were both going to the same conference. I realized the person across from me.
Do you mind if I allow you to use this? Would that be okay, Heidi?
Go ahead.
It'll just allow me to hear you a little better. Could you ask that question one more time, please?
Yeah, I will. My question, well, my concern is because this has to do with numbers, but we were both going to a conference, and I realized the guy was going the same direction, and I knew him. And I was like, oh, am I ever going to get to the conference? And then we picked him up, and then I couldn't understand why he went to the back of the bus, okay? And are you taking into consideration when you hire people, and I'm not being mean or anything, and you might want to say something, but he actually did his religion, he went in the back and then he did his, because he's Muslim, and he spent a little bit doing it. So we spent at least 5 minutes sitting there when we should have been on the road already.
So in an instance like that, I'd like you to contact the MMSC, the Metro Mobility Service Center, so we can take the information from that exact trip. We're able to pull the video from the camera, from the vehicle, and we can see exactly what was going on. We also have access to his route information, so we don't know if he's waiting for somebody or anything like that.
Never had that happen, and then I was thinking, Did we get there on time? Because I was thinking about, well, did that change your
Yeah,
data?
and right now with the information you're giving me, it'd be all hypothetical. I'd much prefer if something like that happens to you again, Heidi, to please give us a call and we'll thoroughly
I was just
investigate
thinking,
that.
would it change the data or would it change, how you do things? Because I never had that happen on a vehicle ever. And so I just thought, when you were bringing this up, I was thinking, well, did that change it if he spends 5 minutes doing that and then we get going? You know what I mean? When we
It's
should have
obviously
always
going to
been
be
on
affecting the
road.
route time, yes.
So just something, that I never saw and it got me thinking about your data. Thank you.
Thank you,
Any
Heidi.
other questions?
Yeah, more questions on numbers? All right, please continue, Julie.
Next slide, please. When we take our on-time performance at a comparative value, meaning that we're looking at our 2025 year-to-date performance, comparing that to the FTA requirements and the 2024 data. In 2025, compared to the FTA threshold of 90%, overall, the additional trips that we serviced on time were 56,064 people. Now, I know we call these trips, I know we call these statistics, but these are individuals that are experiencing this system. And trying to improve that experience is on everybody's agenda. So to me, when I'm giving you that 56,064 people, it's the individuals that I'm thinking about. So if we had only tried to achieve what was required by FTA threshold, there had been an additional 56,000 people that would not have been served on time. When we compare that to our performance in 2024, that means that we have improved the service for 27,116 people. And our goal is obviously daily to make that better and better. Next slide, please. The next KPI, key performance indicator that we track is our appointment time performance. And again, just to reiterate, that's the time that we have to arrive no later than to ensure that somebody's there by the time that they have requested. Oh, did I get this out of date? No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it wrong. Sorry, Kevin. Our appointment time performance is at 93%. The total trips that had appointment times year to date are 455,510 people. Of those, 4,459 of those trips arrived early. That means more than 30 minutes before their appointment time. 27,292 people arrived late or more than 30 minutes late for their appointment time. Or no, just their appointment time. Next slide, please. Sorry, I stumbled on that a little bit. Thank you. When I break that data out to appointment early, we had one person, and this one actually isn't from November, it's from a couple of months ago, that arrived an hour and a half early for their appointment time. Wow. Obviously, that's something we watch really closely. We pray that number never exceeds more than that one that did happen, and we've tried to learn from that experience. We have had 6 people that arrived 75 to 90 minutes early. Again, that did not happen in November. This was prior. In 60 to 75 minutes early, we had 89 people. 45 minutes to an hour early, we had 1,364. That number does include numbers from November and something that we're watching. From 30 to 45 minutes early is 2,999 people, for the total trips of arriving early of 4,459. Of the arrives that arrived late, and I think it's important that we break this out, is that 7,360 of them arrived within 5 minutes of their appointment time. Not acceptable, but at least closer to their scheduled time. 5 to 10 minutes late of their appointment time is 6,830 people. 10 to 15 minutes late were 4,948 people. 15 to 20 minutes late, 3,143. 20 to 30 minutes late, 3,116. And over 30 minutes late, 1,995 year to date, for a total of late trips of 27,292. Next slide, please. Again, comparing our performance to the FTA threshold in 2024 year-to-date appointment time. In 2025, we had a total early and late trips of 31,759. If our goal was only to achieve the FTA threshold, we would have had 41,700. Per our 2024 year-to-date performance, we had 47,895. So we do see an improvement in that area as far as appointment time in 2025. Any questions before we move on to the next KPI?
If folks online have questions, oh, Ken, I just saw your hand pop up online. Wow, I was just about to say I can't see hand pops up, but I just did. Ken, go ahead. Cool.
Yeah, Julie, I want to really applaud your effort at really detailing in fine detail the analysis of where we're not meeting and where we're exceeding our KPIs. My question is, has there been any further or deeper analysis as to what's the bucket cause of some of the missed KPIs? Is it weather? Is it somebody just made the wrong appointment time? A personal mishap? Have we done any analysis into looking more kind of globally at some of the bucket areas that these might fall in?
Actually, we look at that very closely, Ken, and I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but you are correct. In fact, you named several of the key factors that play into that. Road conditions, construction, weather, driver call-off, driver shortages. I would say vehicle availability, but our vehicle availability has increased with our newer fleet since 2023. But no, I don't have a complete breakout by percentage into each of those buckets. I have to also say that some of it is just a little bit of human error when it's in dispatching or even the optimization of the routes, not necessarily related to a human being error, but a batching error possibly. Each one is investigated and we're trying to determine why and how we improve that.
Sure, I appreciate that very much. And one of the deeper concerns I have, and this came up in our discussion with, I'm working on the Olmsted statewide plan for Metro Council, and one of the issues we're dealing with is what this means when somebody misses or is late for an appointment time. Many clinics, if not all clinics, have a window, and if you are not there within that window, oftentimes it's 10 or 15 minutes. If you're later than that, they will not see you. So that requires then that person who had made the appointment doesn't get to see their medical provider. It might have been an emergency, it might have been an illness, it might have been just a normal check-in. But the point is that they're not able to be seen, and they have to then reschedule a different day and a different time, which creates some issue for the individual potentially, and it could be a medical issue. So that again is one of the reasons why we're really focusing on appointment time in our Olmsted work. And I just want to make sure that people understand that it may not be their fault. It could be construction, it could be weather, it could be all kinds of other things. That's not the individual's fault, and they shouldn't be punished for not being able to get to their appointment because they rely on a transportation service. So we're working on that from the other end, but I just want folks to know that it's something we're very aware of and that we're really acutely trying to work on.
Another thing that we also bring to our clients' attention is to try to make that appointment time more, to allow themselves more time than just the exact time they have to be there. So if they need to be at a doctor's appointment at 1 o'clock, we're asking them to make that appointment time a little bit earlier to ensure that we're not running into those issues. But thank you, Ken. I appreciate that feedback. Next slide, please.
Can I ask a?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Sam Jasmine.
Hold on one second, Sam. We have a question in the room, and then we'll go to you, okay?
Okay.
So I just want to follow up on that. I missed a little bit of it, but, I think in a lot of, on different waiver programs, the medical appointments are considered a different service, it's a different qualification service than non-medical appointments. And so I just wanted to put a finer point on that. So there's no difference in booking on Metmo for medical versus non-medical?
No.
Okay.
No. And if you need to be to a dinner appointment by 6 p.m., you're more than welcome to use an appointment time for that too.
Yeah.
And those are in these numbers as well.
Sure, yeah. I just, traditionally in waiver programs, those are separated out. And so, which is an important distinction to, I think, the point that was just made. But thank you. That helps clarify.
It's a good question. Thankfully, the feds do not put requirements as what folks with disabilities can do with their transportation.
Yes, yeah.
Thankfully.
We want to make sure that is not the case either.
No, it is a good question, though.
Yeah.
Were there more questions in the room?
Well, I was just
Go
going
ahead,
to
go ahead.
comment to that. Yes, when we have the non-emergency medical transportation through our insurance, but actually with Metro Mobility, because it's not, you can't, on demand, that's something that you schedule. And I don't know of anybody who can schedule when they're going to become ill or broken bone or whatever. So I wouldn't think that people would rely on Metro Mobility for emergency use.
Depends on the situation and whether on an individual basis. At that point, if you're in an emergency situation, we would instruct you to call an ambulance, make sure that you get the care that you need. Just because we transport people with medical conditions and disabilities does not mean that we provide them medical backup. So if you're in that type of situation, I would suggest that we have an ambulance or some trained medical staff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Patty.
Sam?
Hi. Hi, Julie. Thank you very much for coming on. I just want to address two things. Number one, I heard, and I actually agree, that I feel like there should be, I would actually like to see at some point, and I don't know if that's ever possible, but for a distinction with, or at least some importance of labeling medical, excuse me, and work, because I do see people late for work, and that can result in, getting fired and et cetera, and the medical appointments, I agree with what was said. But having said that, I do want to say, address your comment where you said, try to make your appointment a little earlier. And I used to try to do that, but I found that Metro tends to use that as a base to schedule and then many times miss that a time as well. And so it does me no good and makes me sit even longer at where I didn't want to sit to begin with, and possibly take time off of work, which hurts my bottom line. So I feel like I set my appointment time. I make sure it's a bit before my appointment. It is up to Metro to learn and understand how to schedule. I don't know how many people they're going to schedule on the bus, so it's really impossible for me to know that, and that's why we have appointment times. But so anyway, I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just ask, do you have a standing order for your work, to go to work?
I do not, because I am self-employed, and so my schedule changes all the time.
Okay. Well, if you ever change your mind, give us a call and we'll help you get one set up for you, okay? What that does is the standing order also helps the provider to ensure that the routes are set. And to the best of our ability, we try to achieve it. And yes, our appointment times, it is far more difficult to achieve during peak hours, which are also when people are going to work. Not that it can't be achieved, but it is more difficult, more challenging.
I mean, I understand. What I'm trying to tell you is I believe you have to have a set time and days for the standing order, and I don't because my students flex. And so I wouldn't be able to keep that same time and day all the time from week to week. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, understandable. Thank you. So our next KPI is on board time. That's the amount of time that you're on board. The FTA sets a standard of what is allowed and what is not allowed. And this is how we are performing next to that threshold. Our on-time performance for total trips in 2025 is 97.2%. Out of the total trips of 1.6 million, our onboards that were within that onboard threshold were 1.5 million or 1,572,504 people. Trips that exceeded that onboard threshold were 46,016 people, meaning that they were on board longer than that required or the standards and thresholds set by the FTA. Next slide, please. If I do a comparative again from our 2025 FTA threshold and our 2024 performance, FTA threshold is 95%, and that means that we have improved for 34,910 people. Compared to our performance in 2024, we have improved that performance by 16,334 people. Next slide, please. The FTA requires that we do not deny any ADA requested trips. Year to date, we have 0 total one-way denials from Metro Mobility. 2024, we did have a 111, most exclusively in January. In 2023, we had 10,726. So there's been a lot of effort by providers, by our entire staff to improve that. Next slide, please. Go ahead.
Chair.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah, that happens to be at council too. We've talked about some of these kind of carrot and stick methods to improve performance, and that is an incredible statistic. So can you talk a little bit more about any, whether it was incentives provided or what helped to really improve upon that? So that, 0 at this time of year is incredible compared to where we were in 2023.
2023, in all honesty, we had significant driver shortages and fleet issues. A large portion of our fleet were replaced since 2023. That's made a difference. Hiring and retraining of drivers have made a huge difference on that. Demand has increased substantially since 2023. So in that, we've not only been able to maintain it, but hopefully to continue to climb that mountain, but it is a mountain.
Great.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Eddie.
With the changes happening right now, the political scene, do you think our data is going to drastically, if I'm saying it right, change because of, how we have to hire people, to make it work? I'm a little worried that, I don't know when it's going to happen because a lot of my drivers are from other parts of the world, and I don't mind that. Even with the taxi company you have a deal with, and I'm okay with that. It's becoming part of the United States, but what's happening right now, will that change how we have to think about Metro Mobility and helping people if that becomes an issue?
I cannot give you a solid answer on that. I will tell you this, that what is the requirements for a driver to meet and the training that's required for them to achieve in order to be able to be a driver for Metro Mobility is a pretty thorough background check. And in that, I don't think that would affect our recruiting, but time will tell. And again, I can't give a solid answer on that.
Okay, I've just crossed my fingers, all good things happen.
Oh, we do too. We pray every day on that, yep.
I have one question. Do members have questions? And it would have been more fun if the last folks stayed in the room. And you might not know the answer to this, it's just more of curiosity. So have you noticed an effect on the Metro Mobility statistics in the microzones?
I'm so sorry, David, please forgive me.
Oh, have you noticed an effect on the Metro Mobility statistics in Metro micro zones?
Yes, in fact, part of our job in MMSC is not just to provide what Metro Mobility can do, but to inform the public and our clients of what other transportation options are open to them. So Metro Micro, Transit Link, our premium services, how to use that fixed route, those are all talked and brought to the attention of our clients to the best of our ability. When we go out and we do several community presentations, in that we're not just presenting Metro Mobility, but the other travel options that clients have out there. Many cases, if you just need to run to the store really quick and you need to do it today, Metro Micro is perfect if they're available in your area. So clients that call from that area with it will suggest, you know what, I know you may not be able to get a ride with Metro Mobility today. You can try our premium services or you can try microtransit. Transit Link is another one.
Very nice, thank you for that. Any other questions from the room? Awesome.
Jasmine?
Oh, Sam, yes, go ahead. Sorry, the WebEx or Zoom was not up. There we go. Go ahead, Sam.
Great. Okay. Julia, I have just another question/comment. So I was very proud of my transit service people for a long time because I felt like I heard complaints about service dogs from the other transit group and hadn't for a long time, and then had a horrific experience with one. And on my transit group, you know, for my first transit, and the other day when I was taking a ride, I had the driver stopped at the bottom of the driveway, which I don't care if they don't pull up because sometimes they drive over my lawn and they don't do a good job anyway. So it's not a big deal for me to walk down with them. But he didn't bother coming up to the door, and I wouldn't have known he was there unless I had a sighted person and I was online, or I was on the phone with the company wondering where he was, and they said, well, he's there. And I'm like, no, he's not. And then my sighted partner looked out the window and said, yeah, he's standing by his bus at the bottom of the driveway. And he wouldn't come up, and so I walked down, and I usually don't like doing that, and I asked him why, and he said, you have a service animal marked on your thing. I said, I don't care. It doesn't matter what I have marked on my thing. Why didn't you come up and ring my doorbell? So I still feel like there are people that are not, and there's no dog tied up in my yard. Right. You know, you still got to come up and ring the doorbell and let me know you're there. So if they're not doing that, we have a problem. And I certainly hope that that's emphasized in the training that the drivers have. Having said that, I have called in lately with some complaints and feel like I do not get calls back, or when I do, they're several weeks later, and like I'm trying to remember which thing they were talking about. So I'm wondering if you have any statistics on like how long you have to call a customer back when they have put in a call to the customer service center, because if it's weeks later, you don't always remember which one it's for. Number one, especially like for me, I have called multiple times lately. And number two, if you have that many, I have to wonder about the statistics in general when they're really, really good then.
Right.
All right, I'll stop and listen to your response. Thank you.
No, I will admit that MMSC, when it first transferred back to us to be calling back on completed investigation on client complaints, that there was a significant lag time of up to 2 to 3 weeks before some of those calls were being made. We've made strong advances in that, and we're to within a week of a call back. So please give us another shot. Don't stop calling these things in. It's the best way for us to investigate, and that gives us the opportunity to work directly with the individual that may need that additional training or improvement or counseling or whatever action might else to be taken with an employee. So I do apologize for what you experienced during that time. I do hope that you'll give us another opportunity because there has been significant improvement in that, especially over the last 30 to 45 days.
Darrell, go ahead.
Yeah, Julia's, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but it kind of goes to Sam's point about ringing the doorbell. I know my partner and I were at an event yesterday at the Union Depot, and it was amazing. We got no-showed there, and once she called in and we found out why we were no-showed, it was because the driver said he's not allowed to go in the underground tunnel. So then we looked around, we're like, well, what are they talking about? Underground tunnel, where's the underground tunnel? Here at the Union Depot. And what we found out, it was basically the upper deck, and it goes under like a underpass.
Okay.
And supposedly the drivers are told they're not supposed to go under that, but we weren't there anyway. We were on the lower level, and we were particularly at door 10. If you go to door 9, door 9's clear as a bell. Door 10 is right there next to it. But it was only after the dispatcher realized that the driver didn't even get out of his vehicle. So that's the point. They're not getting out of their vehicle even on when the weather's nice. So the fact that the weather's getting a little colder now and people are waiting inside because they're not going to wait outside on the curb for a bus that might come 30 minutes later. I mean, when do the passengers get to be believed instead of them saying, well, I don't know if that's truly the case. And we're like, well, check it. You can see the guy never got out of his vehicle. We watched the guy go around the block even, you know. So my point is we waited for a whole another hour and a half until we were able to get home to our daughter, you know, and it wasn't our fault at all. And the dispatcher's like, well, we took off the no-show, so that you know, so we're supposed to be happy, go lucky, and be okay with that. But it was clear that some drivers don't know where the designated spots are and where they're not. So do you guys repeatedly send out notices to your drivers and your providers saying, these are the hot spots, especially in the wintertime, during the cold weather months, so that you particularly don't avoid, you know, you avoid no-shows, and then you avoid having to go back and adjust your schedule to pick those individuals up, because if you drop them off there, you're required to pick them up. So they can no-show you all day long, but as long as they don't have another alternative, you're required to go back and pick them up. So, I mean, when you...
But still, you've lost a lot of time, the inconvenience of it. I understand what you're saying. All of our drivers are required to do additional training on a monthly basis. We call these safety meetings. During those safety meetings, those are brought up. It is highlighted. It's strongly pronounced by all the providers to ensure that drivers are looking at that. Now, that's a driver issue and something that we would look into. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that that complaint gets in there so that we can investigate that further, okay, Darrell? Because they should be. Not only that, when you make your trips, you want to ensure that you've identified exactly where they're going to pick you up, especially at such a large facility. And then please note that there have been several changes, especially with large malls and stuff, where we used to be able to drop at every door. The malls are now asking us to either at 1 or 2 doors. A lot of clients may not be used to that. So again, when you're booking those trips, make sure that you're clarifying where that pickup is.
Again, I'll say it's not the malls. The mall doesn't get to dictate what doors I get to get dropped off at. If I'm riding a bus or a taxi cab and I say drop me at door 3, but door 1 is the designated spot, right? I mean, the taxi cab driver's not necessarily going to know that. So what I'm saying is, you should not be letting the malls dictate what doors to drop off at and to pick up at.
You have to bear in mind that they own that property. They're trying to take into...
They may own that property or manage that property.
They're taking into consideration the safety of you, our clients, and other travelers in the area, and they're trying to identify the doors that would be the safest to use. The ones that have the greatest lighting, the indoor waiting, that kind of thing.
Yep, and then I question, do they have the additional training that allows them to be able to do that when they're dealing with specialized customers and folks that use their service? I bet you they do not.
Are you talking about the drivers? Is that what you mean, Darrell?
Yeah, I'm talking about when the malls tell you, I only want you to drop off at maybe door 1 or door 5 rather. And if they specify that, are they trained in knowing that those are the best doors to drop at? Or are they just saying that arbitrarily because they don't want 2 or 3 Metromobility buses to plug up their food court door necessarily, or their door where the children will go in to play at the play center or the activity center? I mean, what I'm saying is, you as a strong advocate for public transit and as a shared transit system, you need to partner with the malls and tell them, that it's not necessarily, you cannot dictate where a customer chooses to get off at the mall. You just can't. Because if
they meet with our project administrators, they review the area, the available doors. There's a strong discussion on both sides, and we're trying to determine what's going to work best for everybody, not just for them, Darrell.
Yeah, and then I say, if we do that, right? If we agree to do that, and we say, okay, let's let them do that, then are there designated signs? Are there clear signage that says this is the designated spot? Because if there's no signage that says this is the designated spot, then they're just arbitrarily telling you that, and you guys are just accepting it.
And forgive me, I don't mean to interrupt you, my apologies. Not necessarily whether they put up signs once a decision is made or not, that I don't know if they do, but let's use the Mall.
They generally don't.
Let's use the Mall of America as an example. There is only one spot for fixed drop.
The Mall of America is
and one
different.
spot for paratransit drop.
That's a different animal. That's different. I agree that the Mall of America needs to have a designated spot.
They do have a designated.
But what about all the other malls? They don't have that.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Why is the Mall of America different then, are you saying?
The reason the Mall of America would be different is because it's larger. It meets a different requirement because it's just in a larger footprint in the space that they have to engage with customers and dropping off customers. It'd be like at the airport. We have designated doors at the airport for wheelchair assistance, but it doesn't mean you can't get dropped off at other doors. You can, but if you need that type of assistance or that type of safety requirement, as you may call it, then you can go to 1 or 2 doors at the airport and get that type of assistance.
Because, Darrell, I would think that would be something that you would want. Again, we'll just use the Mall of America. You're going to go to Macy's, so you don't want to be,
right,
having to go way over to the north side when you want to be on the south side, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I would think you would want to be advocating that you could go to other doors.
Any door, yep.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want to go to any door, but in certain situations like the airport particularly, or the Mall of America, we generally designate those spots because of the volume of traffic and And then, and the nature of the sheer volume of traffic that goes through those spots.
I would think that would probably then play in. I'm thinking of the mall that I work at. I can't imagine seeing Metromobility vehicles parking at all 6 different doors that people are at.
Right.
You know, that would stop regular traffic.
Yep.
Drivers.
Sure.
Pedestrians. So yeah.
Data.
Oh, that's interesting. It's interesting.
But what I'm saying is, like at the mall, like at Maplewood Mall particularly, I like to get picked up and dropped off at the food court, right? And actually, if you tell the driver I'm getting picked up or dropped off at the food court, it's clearly identified on the outside of the building, food court. So they know that. That's door 3, by the way. I mean, so, but what you were saying is that malls particularly have certain doors that they would like to drop people off at or pick people off at. And I don't generally see that unless they're marked, unless they're highly designated, like the Mall of America or like the airport.
And I'm saying that our project administrators are working with local communities and local businesses to try to make this system work for you and for them to the best of their abilities. And that's how those decisions are made. We do influence it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Julie? Awesome. Thank you very much, Julie. Appreciate that. All right, on to subcommittee reports. Ken, do you have anything on the blue line?
Yes, an interesting update. At our last month's meeting, which was a meeting we had with the Business Advisory Council in combination with the Citizen Advisory Council, we were basically, and this was the first meeting we've had in many, many months, we were basically dismissed, thanked for our work on the Citizen Advisory Committee and the Business Advisory Committee, and told that our services were no longer needed. We had reached 60% engineering, and the work was going to move forward. And a discussion ensued, led mostly by me, complaining that why was our committee being disbanded right when we were starting to focus on particular platforms and the layouts of platforms, particularly with the Blue Line extension, not necessarily having the majority of the platform stations at intersections where they can easily be identified where you enter a platform or not, but many of the platforms on the Blue Line extension are going to be mid-block or not on corners, which are going to require unique entrance places for someone entering a platform, which could create some problems. So I raised an issue, and because of that, the decision was made that our Citizen Advisory Committee will continue. We will continue to meet formally on a quarterly basis, but our input in train station platform design will continue. I just wanted to bring you up to speed. So we do have a meeting tonight, and it will be our first post attempt of dismissing us. And I want to just share with everybody that although I was the one who raised this issue and urged the Blue Line Extension Office to continue our work, it was supported by just about everyone on the committee. So we are continuing, our work will continue, and I will have more specific platform information as we move and continue our engineering stages.
Ken, may I ask you 2 questions?
Sure.
This is David Finley. First one, what entity made that decision or attempted to make that decision?
Would be the CBAC.
So according to what I understand, it was the Blue Line Extension Project Office that made that determination.
And you actually answered
And it baffled me because, you know, I sat on the Central Corridor Citizen Advisory Committee, and the value that our committee had really ramped up when we started talking about specific platform stations after 60% engineering. So my comments were based on past experience with prior lines and the value that the Citizen Advisory Committee could continue to provide the team. I felt was being cut off before we even had a chance to give our input. And I'm totally focused on disability access, and it's going to be different on the Blue Line extension. So I'm glad that the decision was made to continue our work.
Thank you, Ken. Yeah, this would be the time when I think your input would be the most valuable. Did they give a reason why they were going to disband the community advisory group?
No, in one word, no. It just seemed like, I don't know, displacement work on this line has been a major part of the ongoing work that has been going on. All of the cities have provided their municipal consent for the project moving forward. So all of the issues that have been brought up have been dealt with. The environmental statement, impact statement has been dealt with. All of the complaints that community members and businesses have made have been discussed and dealt with. And there's been plans put in place to mitigate all that stuff. It seemed to me like it was just going to be an extra burden for the project team to continue these meetings. But I think this is where the biggest happens at this particular part of the engineering stage. So I'm just glad to know that it's going to continue.
I have one more quick question. I'm going to pass it to Darrell, who has a question as well. Is the Community Advisory Committee continuing in its same fashion, or has it changed at all?
Yes. No, it has continued. We'll get an update tonight, but everyone was asked to recommit as to who they were representing. And if somebody felt that their service was no longer needed, they had the ability to step back. And we'll get an update tonight on who agreed to stay on and who needs to step off. But it's my understanding that if somebody stepped off, that there would be someone else to fill in their spot.
Thank you, Darrell.
But we'll get that update tonight. Yep.
Yeah, Ken, I'm impressed that you were able to ask them to continue, and then they were able to agree to do it quarterly. The one thing I will say is when the CBEC was asked to dismantle, did that give the project back to the county then, or particularly did the ownership of the project or the management of the project change management at that time? Because I've been a part of two CBECs already. I've been a part of the Gold Line CBEC, and now it was part of the formerly known as the Purple Line, now known as the Bronze Line, which I'll give an update. But once the project has already met its environmental study and all the requirements that it meets within that CBEC charter or that agreement that they've agreed to do, generally the project gets shifted back to the county or back to another managing entity. So do you know if that happened or not?
No, that does not happen on light rail. Light rail is a state project, and it's completely overseen by the Metro Council, and so the project office remains the managing entity. County work may step up, but the Metro Council remains as the project leader.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for the update. And let me echo Darrell's thank you for being
Chair.
a catalyst. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sure, yeah. It's okay. Ken, this is Councilmember Cameron, and I serve on the Blue Line CMC. And so I think, while you've been sharing our comments, I know that the staff is looking into what you have shared. I just want to get clarity, which CAC meeting did that occur at? And also, I want to reiterate that there are some specific steps within the process. And so it would certainly not be the intention of the council and, as a close partner at Hennepin County, I don't want to speak for the county, but, just in knowing where their priorities are, that the insights from both the BAC and the CAC have been invaluable in this process. They have had a strong voice at CMC. And so, I suspect if changes were made that they may have had to have been a part of the process, because it doesn't, disbanding and recreating a committee is a pretty serious process. And so, you have my commitment to look into it further, but if you could get the date of that meeting, just so we can kind of understand what is playing out there and make sure that those voices continue to be heard. And, there is a really core component of this project that is a commitment to anti-displacement. And I think particularly these two committees are incredibly important in weighing in on that process, although it is separated out from the CAC and BAC because it is a new component of this project. That is, we're not going to turn our back on any group in order to move that forward either. And so just to understand the situation that played out and ensure that we continue to have those partnerships going forward in whatever project structure is set forward. But, this is something that we're definitely looking into since you've made your comments at this time.
Sure. And I very much appreciate your comments and follow up with looking into it a little bit more. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because I clearly don't know all the details that went into making that kind of a decision. It did not feel from a member perspective that it was a well thought out idea, and it was just sort of kind of laid on us at the end of our meeting that this would be our last meeting, which just felt like a total surprise. It almost felt like the rug was pulled from under us, which caused a discussion and people shared their concerns. So this happened at last month's meeting, and it's typically the third Wednesday of the month. So it matched our meeting last month.
Okay, that is helpful. And, regardless of decision made, I think we always strive for transparency. And so even as that announcement is made, it sounds like there was not a conversation as to why that happened. And so I think even that is questions that we'll follow up with project staff. So thank you for bringing that to my attention.
Sure, appreciate that very much. Thank you.
And we appreciate your support too. Heidi, go ahead.
I have a question. Did that mean that what Ken does or the work he does to, for the ADA and the disability, they weren't thinking about that anymore, about the disability community? Or did they just kind of decide, well, we got that taken care of, we know how to do it, maybe they really don't know how to do it? I don't know if I'm saying it right or answering. I just feel like I'm glad he spoke up and then she spoke up, because then people like us, we're not, that sounds bad, people like us, but people with disabilities, voices get heard, so I can actually go to the spot that you sent me to so I can meet that other end of the ride. You know what I mean?
I do. It sounds to me like it was just an uninformed decision, and once they were informed, they realized that it was not the best decision to make. Okay. So it sounds like if they did go up the chain and ask if they should do that.
Talking about that in the future?
Well, I think since it was resolved very, very easily with just someone being like,
But just when new projects like this come in the future, that we get a voice at the table and make sure that we can still use transportation for what it was meant to be for all, not just for some.
I would say if it happens again, or if there's a project where there is not a community advisory group, which that has not been the case in a very long time. I think a lot of folks here have served on these. Like if it becomes a practice, then we can, jump in and say, hey, let's not do that. But there's an entire department at the Met Council devoted to, and Metro Transit devoted to community engagement. So I really think it was just an oversight. Like, that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, I don't want to, without the information, I don't want to try and guess at what was going through. Because there are, there's many different scenarios that could have played out with regard to the project entering a new phase. And so I don't want to guess that, or say that the staff did not have had improper intentions. So I think, Ken, you have my commitment to look into it further and make sure that it was handled appropriately. And but know, regardless of that there is a clear commitment to, even whether it is through the CAC or through, the anti-displacement work, that the members of the CAC continue to be a valued voice within the process. And that is certainly I know that for council members, that is an important priority. And I have not heard anything otherwise, publicly or privately, from any of the officials on the CMC. So I want to reiterate that is, without knowing the details of that meeting and the circumstances that played out, that I just, we don't know why that announcement was made. And so I just want to make sure that we're clear on that we won't know until we get a specific answer.
And there's no implication.
Sure. And
Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, it's hard to hear because somebody else is having a conversation in the background.
So we just had a commitment from our council member that's here that we'll look into it, but by no means is this committee or myself or anybody here.
Hey, Chair.
Hold on one second,
Can
Michelle.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah.
Right, and the one thing I'll just share as a closing comment is there is nothing about the Blue Line extension work that has been normal. Everything from having to. So whoever's talking in the background, can you mute, please?
Is that online? Michelle, is that what you're going to speak to?
Yes.
So could everybody online mute themselves, please? Or could the man behind the curtain mute everybody? I think it's just online. Is that better, Ken?
Are you there?
No, I'm still hearing that conversation.
Michelle's saying she's here.
Yeah, so it's something online.
Yeah.
Can you keep talking?
So I'll try to just talk over it. My point is, this has been a very unusual process that is very different from the Green Line or the Central Corridor project. So it doesn't strike me that anything is really out of the ordinary or that there was nefarious activities going on. It just is just something we've been dealing with that's just unusual. And it was one more unusual piece that didn't feel right. So I'm glad we're back on track. And so I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, thank you, Ken. Yeah, this was out of the ordinary for the Metropolitan Council for Metro Transit, which, there's no implication by this group or I think anybody here that there was any nefarious intentions here. Probably just an oversight, if I can guess. All right. So Darrell, do you have updates on Bronze Line? Is that what it's called now?
I
Bronze?
do, Chair. I attended a fabulous event yesterday with Councilmember Cameron and Councilmember Villavicencio from Maplewood. And it was called the Bronze Line. Yep. It's the new Metro BRT. It gives us a number of opportunities. It gives us an opportunity to reimagine a community that's responsive in a new version of what we used to call the Purple Line BRT. It will improve transit reliably and enhance safety, key corridors. It will be a 10-mile route just like it was before, and it will go from the St. Paul Union Depot all the way up to the Maplewood Transit Center. It will feature 22 stations and 5 miles of dedicated bus lane and 2 new bridges. And with that, your chair, I will leave more updates because I know we're going to get a presentation next month about the new Bronze Line. But the one thing I will mention, and the one thing I was excited to see during a previous presentation that was given, and I was able to look at the slides. They were on slide number 12 on their slide deck. They talked about who the project was serving. So at this point, they actually were able to pull out statistics, and they were pulling out this project would serve 13% of the population with a disability. It would also serve 38% of the population that's under 25, and it would also serve 18% of the population where limited English was their preferred proficiency. So those numbers were relatively exciting to me to see, and the fact that we were capturing those. And I'm just excited to see the new energy around the Bronze Line and what that means for the future of transit in the East Metro. With that, I'll stand for questions, or we can take questions next month when the Bronze Line project staff come and give us a better update.
Great. Thank you, Darrell. Are there any members of the public who would like to make a comment at this time?
I actually would like to make a comment.
Sam, we'll do member comment right after this, okay? I think we have a member of the public. Yes. Please let us know who you are and comment away.
Hey, hello everybody. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So my name is Nikki Villavicencio. I use she, her, sha pronouns. And as committee member Paulsen talked about the Bronze Line, I am a CMC member of the Bronze Line. But today I would just like to talk to you as a person, another person with a disability. But it's good to know that you have another friend that's in those tables or at those tables advocating for people's abilities. So one thing that I wanted to say is about the microbusing is honestly when it was first proposed for the extension of the now Bronze Line, I was actually against it because I kind of feel that it's a little bit of a Band-Aid instead of just extending out bus rapid transit to more areas, which is consistent stations, consistent times every day. Now, I do feel that any expansion of transit in our communities is a good thing. So overall, I'm positive about that. But I am concerned about when people get picked up or dropped off from these micro buses. There going to be confusion on where people get picked up or dropped off, and then it is quite limited in their zones of where they can go. And I think I have a little bit of heartburn around that. another comment that I would like to make is around Metro Mobility. I am a Metro Mobility rider. I do not drive, so I'm dependent on public transit. And I think, so this may age me a bit, but I've been riding Metro Mobility for a little over 20 years now. And in the last 3 years of my life, I would say I've been no-showed more in the last 3 years of my life than ever in my life. And so, I find that very difficult because I feel that I'm a responsible Metro Mobility rider, and I make my own rides, so I know when they're coming and when they're not. And a little bit off of what Committee Member Paulsen said about when you call in, it a lot of times is kind of like this back and forth with either the dispatcher or the scheduler about, well, you were no-showed, they said you weren't there. And it's like, well, I'm here. I'm literally at the door you dropped me off at. So I don't know what to tell you. And that happens, like I said, very frequently lately. And it's very frustrating. And as a professional, it almost makes it impossible to be dependent on Metro Mobility because there may be, I might have 3-4 meetings in a day, and I can't rely on just Metro Mobility to get me there. That's just a reality. And I understand that it's a huge, complex system. And so I'm not naive to that. But I just think it's something that people should think about. When we think about, like, as Ken was talking about the next Olmsted plan, should disabled people be allowed to be professionals? Well, I think they should. And I think that there should be a transit system that allows them to be professionals, to have as many rides as they want to have or need to have, and be able to reliably get to and from the places that they need to do. And so, and the statistics, one thing I was thinking is, could we look at the no-shows and how many no-shows have there been in the last year or two or however, and see why that may be. Now, I will say that I disagree with Committee Member Paulsen around the spots. So I do believe that malls in any big places should have designated spots, like the Mall of America. I think that would I think that would enhance people's ability to know. There would be, they would know. But if there are agreements between folks like Metro Mobility and the malls, are they communicating that to the customers? How do we know that door 1 is the designated spot? Or if a building has been there since 1950, maybe have that designated spot. But yeah, I'm all for put a little sign there or do something so that customers know that that is the right spot to go to. So those are my comments on that. One more thing about the micro busing. So they didn't mention this, but it will be coming to the Bronze Line extension too. And they'll be improving the 219 and the 222, which is all good. But I really hope that people look at the stations and think about, like, 50, they said that they could be like waiting for 15 minutes. That's, in the wintertime, is a long time. So are there places nearby that they can get inside while they're waiting? And then does the driver wait to, I think they said 2 minutes a wait, but if they're inside and they're waiting for 15 minutes, most likely they're probably gonna miss a couple rides. And so yeah, and then I just hope that when we do all of these expansions of transit, that we keep putting folks like us on every level of decision making. Because that's going to make the best system for us all. But thanks for listening to me, and good always to be here at TAC.
Thank you, Nikki. Nice to see you again. All right, member comment. Sam, take it away.
Hey, thank you, David. I have a comment about something that was briefly, I feel like, talked about a while back, and you released to some of us in regards to accessible Target kiosks. Are you remembering this?
Accessible Target kiosks?
kiosks for Target, checkout kiosks for Target, like the checkout for this? Briefly, sort of?
I saw that in
Anyway,
the news. Did we talk about that here? I know I saw that in the news.
I don't think we
sent it out, and you asked for us to check it out, and there were a handful of us that you copied on the email, and it was never ever brought up again, or just very limited. So I wanted to actually report back because I feel like this got dropped, and accessible checkouts, fully accessible checkouts in grocery stores /Target /Walmart, wherever it is, should be a no-brainer. And I would love to see more of that. But I just want to let you know that when I went to my Target to check that, there wasn't one. It was the half, checkout that everyone sees now. And I did not see a headphone jack that you could even plug into. And when I asked about it, they said, "Oh, it's coming," but nobody knew when. So I just want to let you know that, and that was my feedback.
Thank you, Sam. I do remember sending that email to you. Thank you. Any other members have comments? It's 2:31.
Chair.
Why? Something's wrong with me.
I'll try and dress in bright colors next time. I am a firm believer in giving credit where credit is due, and so I do want to thank the Maplewood City Council member and as well as her colleague, Council Member Chonburi Lee, who were very fierce advocates on the purple line, and I think part of that has to do with this really important component of this committee's work around representation and really representing the communities that live within their community and being very fierce advocates for expanded transportation access in that area. And I think that played a significant role in our ability to move forward with the bronze line. And so really appreciate the work that both council members had done on that. So thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. Any other members have comments? I'll try to look at everybody. It's the third time I just missed you. All right, 2:33, we are adjourned. Thank you everybody very much for being here and having some good discussions. See you. The next meeting I would say we should have, given that it is about as far from away, is January 1st as calendarically possible. Is that a word? It is the 7th of January, so it is almost exactly 1 week from the first of the year. We are adjourned.
Happy holidays.
Oh, man.
Did you know about this micro?
Pretty good. Thank you.
I didn't
get a new one for Greg.
I ripped them out too. I get a ton of them.
I need